Lastly, I want to talk about we just had a Memorial Day, and last week I wasn't like really feeling that well. So I was just really, really tired. Not that I wasn't feeling well. It's just that I've been going out a lot on Saturday and I've been exhausted. I probably sometimes I have 3, 4 appointments a week for my kids. Um, you know, my kids are big, but my son's only 17. He still can't drive yet. So still homeschooling him. My daughter, I said, for his disability, she'll never learn how to drive, and I have to bring them back and forth to their doctors sometimes. And then Saturday, they like I said, we don't have friends here. Now Saturday they get sometimes they go to meetups, and you know, I was just exhausted last week, and I couldn't think straight. I was so tired. But wish I would have thought of it last week. But we just had a Memorial Day, and I just want to say I hate war. I've always hated war, and any president that got us into a war, I thought they were awful. The war, I never experienced war till I was in my mid 20s, and we had Desert Storm and all of that, and I hated Bush Senior for getting us into a war, and I feel it's wrong how the U.S. is always the police of the world. Every time something goes wrong, let's send out the American soldiers to die. But then 9/11 happened, and 9/11. If you're from New York, as much as anyone felt, and I know the whole United States felt it, but there's no way you could have felt it as much as a New Yorker who has family up there. And I remember how my life stopped that day. I remember how I felt. I knew it was no accident when the second plane hit. I remember my husband ran in because, there's some New Yorkers living here in North Carolina, and his co-workers were like, a plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. Ran inside, turned on the only TV we have in the house, or had in the house at the time, because we don't have cable. We had rabbit ears, and we were able to pick up the news. And I remember sitting there horrified as I watched the second plane hit, and I'm like, this is no accident. I remember how life stopped for me that day. I remember I could not rest calling, and the phones were off the hook. You couldn't even get through because everybody's calling. I started emailing people, even distant cousins that I hadn't spoken to in a long, well, not like up to third cousins that I hadn't spoken to in a long time. I could not rest until I knew that my whole family was okay. Life stopped for me that day. And then I said, this is the time to take action and let people know we're not going to take this sitting down. And I don't agree with war. I don't agree with war. I hate war. And if the world was just filled with love, we wouldn't have war. But unfortunately, the military is a necessary evil, because you know what? Freedom is not free. We cannot be free unless we have an army to protect us. Because if we did not have an army to protect us, and if we didn't stand up that day against the people responsible for 9/11, you can best believe that would have continued to happen. And you can best believe that without a military, we would have been taken over a long time ago. If you look at what happened back during the Holocaust, nobody wanted to do anything about it. Everybody kept saying, well, we don't care what they're doing over there. That's their problem. It doesn't have to do with us. And guess what happened? Little by little, it reached them. So it's important to take a stand. It's important to have a military. If you read about history, the United States backs up a lot of countries. At some point during the late 1800s, they even backed up any Western Hemisphere, any part of the North and South America gets taken over, the U.S. will step in. I believe it's one of the doctrines that have been was made back then, because guess what? If it reaches South America, if it reaches Central America, if it reaches Mexico, if it reaches Canada, you can best believe it's going to come to us. And unfortunately, a military is a necessary evil. So, with that said, I just want to say, appreciate the soldiers. Don't get angry with them. And bottom line is, once somebody, I was a military wife, so I know. when you're in the military, you cease to belong to anyone but the government. And you have to do what you say you're told, or you get put in military jail, which, as I understand, is the worst jails ever. So don't get angry at a soldier. And just remember, these men join the military and are willing to give their lives, not just for their country, but more importantly, for their loved ones. If a man has the courage to join the military, it's because he wants to do all that he can to protect his family, to protect his loved ones. And we really, really, really need to appreciate our soldiers and our military. We need to appreciate them for what they do for us here in the U.S. We need to appreciate them. And so I just wanted to take out that moment for the Memorial Day that, yes, there's negative to everything, and yes, there's story about negativity, throughout the years with the wars and where they're stationed and, soldiers and stuff like that. But for a person to join up and be willing to risk their life, we need to appreciate that. Freedom is not free, and we need them to keep freedom and peace in America. So I just wanted to say that. Appreciate the soldiers. Appreciate what they do. I don't agree with a draft either, because a draft is you're forcing someone. And the words I use is they willingly are courageous enough to give their lives. Now, that's not to say that the ones who don't join aren't courageous. But I don't believe in a draft, because there are some men that weren't made for that. There are some men that's just not who they are. They're not about shooting. They're not about killing. They might have a high stress life. They might have an overly compassionate heart where, oh my goodness, I can't kill someone, and they're just going to stand there and get themselves shot. Everybody is different. And that's not to say that a soldier is this evil killing machine. It's just to say that not everyone was meant for that. So the ones who do it need to be appreciated for them joining and saying, I'm going to do this to protect my country. I'm going to do this to protect my loved ones and ensure that we will always be free. So I just wanted just to get that out there. And I will see you next week with my blueberries and cream. And I love you all so, so much. I just want to remind you of how much I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you next week. Bye.